Hello, people of the internet. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. We are continuing with the latest La Poem release by checking out the rest of the album that dropped, the Alchemist album. We're going to be checking out the other tracks on it. We're fresh off of listening and watching to the title track, The Fire, which was absolutely spectacular and epic in every sense of the word. And of course, we checked out the pre-release Anchor when it dropped last week or a couple weeks ago. So we have the other three tracks on the album to check out: Find the Light, Will Stay, and Blast. So here we go. Unfortunately, we're over on Spotify because lyric videos aren't out for the songs yet, which is perfectly fine. They've got pretty distinct enough voices that I think make it pretty easy to piece together who's singing where. It's kind of the advantage of crossover groups, is that their vocal ranges and vocal colors are going to be so drastically different that it's going to be pretty easy to identify who's who. Admittedly, I don't really know their names yet, so I'm going to have like a K profiles page open on second monitor just so I can like keep track of who's who, because I haven't learned their names quite yet, but I'm going to enjoy their music. We're going to skip over The Fire and Anchor, mainly because we've heard them already. If you want to check those reaction videos out, they're going to be on my channel. You can find the search La Poeme on the channel, and you can find them there. And yeah, I think that's about all we need to say for this. Hopefully Content ID spares us with this. If it isn't, well, this isn't going to be on YouTube, unfortunately, but we'll make do with the cards that we're dealt with. So here we go. We've got this. Let me pull up K profiles on the side. Actually, let me see if I can. There we go. That's pretty good. All right, Find the Light. 3, 2, 1. Oh, right. I should point out. If you want to skip ahead to a certain song, timeline's going to be annotated depending on what songs we're watching. So, all right, Find the Light. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Oh, we started off with a pretty dramatic drum intro, but a rather tame verse so far. That has to be Min Song. That has to be Min. Oh my goodness. Oh, interesting. I love that transition. You end with a really low note, and then you feel like you're in the middle of space with just the occasional twinkle, and then all of a sudden the flourish comes in with a counter tenor sung-un. And then it's super gentle again on the verse. And then straight into the chorus this time. Ooh, interesting, keeping the vocals in octave harmony right now. Turn it up a little bit for the bridge. Oh, there's so much to say about this song, but I'm kind of just want to enjoy it. Ooh, and a little dedicated outro. Oh, oh, okay. What a start to an album. Interesting, because this is like, yeah, I think it's really easy to describe kind of La Poem's music as cinematic, dramatic, I think. Because it just really fits the bill on like a, whether it's like a dramatic action scene or it's, your music generally like is dramatic, and they do dramatic really well. And I think it's kind of become their like signature sound style in a way, and I really like that. But they've done so many things to this song that just accentuates the dramaticness, and they've done it so well. It's, the main thing is contrast. Contrast creates focus. That's a general rule of thumb in pretty much anything in like human relation, is that contrast creates focus. This song, there are so many little instances where there's contrast that's creating focus within the song, like pre-chorus into the first chorus. Let's see if I can find it though. Here we go. So you have already here, within this pre-chorus alone, you've already got a contrast. You've got Min Song, the baritone on the really low vocals, and then you've got like the singular violin who's like playing along with his low register, creating the contrast. Creating the contrast creates focus portion that I was talking about. If you look at it from kind of like what you'd typically associate with like a pop song, it's usually the other way around. You usually have the vocal on the higher top line and then the instrumental on the bottom. But in this case, it's flipped around. And yet the vocal, even though it's on the bottom, still is taking front and center. Very good balancing thing. Musical silence. Yes, I did pause it, but musical silence creates great contrast because it cuts everything. Your head's now used to like taking in all this music, and all of a sudden it's deathly quiet. Really well executed, really well placed as well. And then they bring it in this was almost like haunting piano. Little cymbal roll. And then it's not just the fact that the chorus kicks in like that, where you have the haunting piano and then the little cymbal roll and then the vocals come in. It's the fact that the vocalist that comes in is the countertenor following the baritone who was singing the low register. They just immediately shoot up the vocal register and go with the countertenor. That is the biggest form of contrast this group can give you. And they've executed it so well. I love this transition between the pre-chorus and the chorus. I think it's my favorite part of the song, in all honesty. Again, musical silence, and then creating the contrast. Super dramatic high chorus with the kind of almost like crunchy lower string section in the background. Cut it, silence, bring it in really gentle with the tenor on the second verse. Really good stuff. Okay, we're gonna skip the next two songs because we've already listened to The Fire. We've already listened to Anchor. Wheel State, the next new track.
어둠이 숨쉬는 순간 창밖에 고요한 그 빛 잔잔한 숨소리 곁에 은은하게 스며든 너 close to me 나에게 드리운 어둠 그곳에 가려진 그 빛 내 맘에 흐르는 눈물 너와 함께
So far, it's a really tame track. Ooh.
Life needs someone to be for you. You next to me forever. 언제나 찾아오는 너 말없이 기다리는 너 I'll stay for 어둠이 사라진 순간 환하게 웃는 내 모습
This song's balanced so well.
눈에 비친
There's so many little swells and ebbs in the song, but it evens itself out in the end, and it's so easy to listen to.
Life needs someone to be for good. Like you next to me forever. 언제나 기다려준 너 너와
Very gentle harmony.
We stay forever. 너에게 기대었던
That note is really interesting. Ooh, this entire sequence is really pretty. They went up with that note. I thought they'd go down, they went up.
언제나 네가 있는 곳 기대어줄 그곳에서 We'll stay for always
Okay, that song is spectacular. This song is so just classically written. Like, with the title track, The Fire, while there are lots of callbacks into like classical music theory and just like classical music composition in a way, there is a hint of modernness to it with how it's been written. This is just pure classical music. The chord sequences, the melodic progression, the harmonies, just the individual musical motifs that are being used throughout this song is just so quintessentially like classic chorale music or like classical orchestral choir combined music, and it brings me so much joy hearing something like this because it reminds me of what I used to do. It's so pretty. The little swells in it. It's just wow. This song like would not be out of place as like the last scene of a say take this for example, like a war-based musical where war is now over, but one of the military soldiers has fallen in love with a local lass, and he has to make the decision of returning home or staying with this new life that he has found. And this is how like the entire musical ends, is just this like culmination of everything that had gone down, and now there's a decision that needs to be made, and it's just, oh, I want to listen to the chorus again.
Someone to be for you. 언제나 찾아오는 너 말없이 기다리는 너 I'll stay far away.
Da 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 da. Oh yeah, oh yeah. This song is magical. I think in terms of like, ooh, is this my favorite song? I think. The problem with this album is that every song is so stylistically different that you can't really choose an out-and-out favorite. Because my favorite is going to change on how I'm feeling at the time I'm listening to it. Like, if I want something really energetic, I'm going to listen to The Fire. But if I want something super mellow and smooth, I'm probably going to listen to We'll Stay. But we have one more song. Blast. Well, this is different. Okay, so this time we've got like it's a war song meet classical music meets the 21st century. Oh, this is different. This is very different. That string section in the background is kind of giving it a spooky feeling to it, though. I don't know who was singing that top line for that chorus, the high part in the chorus there, if it was Kihyun or if it was Chaehoon. It was one of the two tenors, but they got some nice power behind that. No matter how modern this still sounds, the chords they're using are very classical. But the song is being mixed in a very modern way with like little filtered ad-libs, like almost like a synth beat in the background. And they're really riding with a rock song for this chorus.
막을 수 없는 플레이어 어둠 속에 더욱 강해지는 light 운명에 내 모든 걸 던져 I don't care about the danger 내게 두려움은 없어 어둠에 남기죠 빛을 위한 서곡일 뿐이야
Whoever is singing tenor there definitely has like a rocker vocal color. Yeah, really interesting. Really interesting song to finish on. Blast was so different from everything else. It's like the album up until that point was pretty heavily engrossed in like what you typically associate with like classical music, or at least kind of like more opera and opera like inspired things like that. Blast was so far out of that shell. It's Here's how I like interpret that is, if anybody in my like Western audience, in the Western audiences, knows the group Trans-Siberian Orchestra, they'll understand what I'm talking about. They've essentially combined like, what they do is they combine classical music with like rock and metal music. They're probably most popular around Christmas time because they've done a lot of iconic Christmas rock music. Like if you're ever curious about them, look up TSO, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Christmas Eve Sarajevo, 1224, or Wizards in Winter, um, Christmas Rock Canon, I think something like that. You'll know when you hear it. But what they do is they incorporate a classical orchestra and like classical choir within a like hard rock and metal sound. And they do it so well. And Blast reminds me so much of Trans-Siberian Orchestra, the way it's been written, the way the classical elements are being incorporated through a predominantly hard rock sound. And they've executed it so well because nothing really seems out of place. Like, all four members have a very distinct classically trained voice on them, but it doesn't feel out of place within the rock-oriented instrumental section behind it. And I think that's super cool. It's also very unique, just in general, but within the album as well. And I think with that song in there, there really is something for everyone. Like, if you want a really, like, melodic, like, choral inspired song, you've got songs like Anchor, you've got songs like Will Stay. If you want something dramatic and epic, you've got The Fire. You want something that's really kind of rare in Korea, I feel like, where it's like rock but also like classical opera. Blast is gonna be your bet. This entire album is just kind of spectacular. I really enjoyed it. Oh, I should probably switch it over to this screen. With La Poème and just in general crossover groups is, if you're kind of like me and your like primary source of like Korean music is within just the general confines of K-pop, this is going to be something that's extremely different to you. And if you follow the industry close enough, you'll know who these artists are by name roughly. Like La Poeme's featured on ATEEZ's performance of Answer Ode to Joy on Kingdom, and like La Poeme and Four Stella are often seen on musical shows on Korean TV or like year-end awards shows where they cover like popular pop songs and things like that. But once you really start delving into crossover groups and like La Poeme in particular, you know after the first song just immediately how different they are. Because you will not get this type of voice from anybody in the K-pop scene because they aren't trained to sing the way they are. There are some people who have, some classical vocal training, like Onyu comes to mind. But even though Onyu's got like a classically trained voice in a way, if you listen to him on either solo stuff or as like as part of the Shiny ensemble, he does not sing with a classical voice. He sings with a much more pop-oriented sound. What La Poeme and Four Stella and other crossover groups are doing is they're not conforming to like the normality of the K-pop voice. They're sticking true to their roots with their classical voices, and they're not afraid to use it. They're using their strengths in the classically trained like the background, and they are producing some epics. Epics. It's spectacular. They all have such unique voices, such powerful voices, and their music itself is so dramatic and it's so much going on with it. And no one does it like they do in like the music sphere that they're involved in. Because classically trained vocalists typically wouldn't go into like this almost like try and break out into the pop oriented like music scene. And pop artists will not even dare try to attempt classical music the way like classically trained vocalists will do. La Poeme, Forstella, and other crossover groups are bridging that gap that typically would have been impossible to perceive. Historically, opera is a very like upper middle class and high class work of or form of art. But crossover groups like La Poeme are making it more available to the public, to the wider general public. And for that, like, I give them so much props for doing something like this. But also, oh my goodness, the talent is just spectacular, and I love it. I love them. They sound tremendous. This album is tremendous. I'm going to playlist it right away, and I'm probably going to binge listen to a couple of these songs later in this week. But that's it for me today. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully this survived YouTube copyright, but if it didn't, you'll have to go back to the channel and find the other stuff we watched. But if this is on YouTube and you want to see more, channel icon is up there. You can find the back catalog stuff watched in the past. Drop a subscription if you want to keep up to date with whenever I upload new videos. And if you want to watch another video of mine right away, YouTube recommends you watch that video down there. And until next time, bye-bye.